The prairie stretched wide beneath an endless sky, a sea of tall, whispering grass rippling in the warm afternoon wind. Jacob Miller leaned on his shovel, his hands blistered and dirty from another long day of breaking stubborn earth. The land was unforgiving, but it was honest. It asked for sweat, patience, and silence, and Jacob had learned to give it all three. He had chosen this lonely life because it demanded nothing else of him. No words, no expectations, no people. That was why the figure on the horizon unsettled him. At first he thought his tired eyes were playing tricks on him. But as the minutes passed, the dark shape became clearer. A woman stood at the edge of his field where the wild grass met his planted rows. She didn't move, didn't call out, didn't wave. She simply watched. The sun dipped lower behind her, turning her into a silhouette carved out of light and shadow. Jacob's heart pounded. Everything he had ever been told about the Apache people rushed into his mind. Fear, danger, death. Yet she did none of those things. She just stood there as still as the land itself. Slowly, he lowered his shovel and took a hesitant step forward. Then another. The grass rustled around his boots, the only sound between them. "You are Jacob Miller," she said when he was close enough to see her face. Her voice was calm, almost gentle. He froze. "Yes," he managed to whisper. "Who are you?" "My name is Nantai." Her dark eyes studied him with a depth that made him feel seen in a way he never had before. "I have walked far to find you." "Me?" He let out a nervous, humorless laugh. "I think you have the wrong man. Nobody comes looking for me out here." "I have watched you for many moons," she replied. "I have seen the way you treat the land, the animals, the sky. You live with respect, not greed." Jacob swallowed hard, unsure how to respond. He had never been noticed before, let alone praised by a stranger. "The elders of my people have dreams of the future," she continued. "They say it grows weak, divided, fading. They say a child must be born to walk between two worlds, and that child must come from you." Her words struck him like a sudden storm. His face burned. You cannot be serious." "I am," she said simply. "I want a child from you." The wind hushed as if even the earth waited for his answer. Jacob stared at her in disbelief, fear and confusion knotting in his chest. He had lived his whole life invisible, unwanted, untouched, and now a woman, so strong and certain, stood before him asking for something that felt far beyond his understanding. "You don't even know me," he whispered. A faint softness touched her expression. "I know enough." And in that moment, standing alone between sky and soil, Jacob felt something he had not felt in years. The fire crackled softly between them, a fragile line of warmth in the vast darkness of the plains. Jacob sat with his hands wrapped around a battered tin cup, though the coffee inside had long gone cold. Across from him, Nantai knelt close to the flames, her face lit by their orange glow, her eyes reflecting flickers of gold and shadow. The world around them seemed to shrink into that small circle of light. Beyond it was only wind, grass, and endless night. "You are afraid of me," she said quietly, without accusation. Jacob let out a slow breath. "I'm afraid of what this means," he admitted. "I've spent years learning how to be alone. It's the only thing I'm good at, and now you've brought something bigger than I ever imagined." "You were not meant to be alone forever," she replied. "No man is. The land speaks to those who listen, and it has been speaking to you for a long time." He looked into the fire, watching the wood bend and break beneath the heat. "My people would never understand this," he murmured. "They would call you a savage and me a traitor just for sharing a fire with you." "My people have their own fears," she answered. "Many still see your kind only as destroyers, thieves of land and life. They would not welcome you easily either." "Then why do this at all?" he asked, lifting his eyes to meet hers. "Why choose me of all men if it only brings trouble from both sides?" "Because a bridge is always walked on by those who dare," she said. "It stands between two cliffs that hate each other. But without it, there is only falling." A long silence stretched between them. The wind picked up, carrying the distant howl of a coyote, lonely and searching. Jacob felt that sound echo within his chest. "I have never even held a woman's hand," he confessed, his voice barely louder than the wind. "I don't know how to be what you are asking of me." "You are not being asked to be anything but yourself," Nantai answered. "The earth does not ask the river how to flow. It simply lets it come. He studied her face, the strength in her features, the quiet determination that made her seem almost unreal. "And if your elders are wrong," he asked, "what if the child changes nothing?" "Then it will still be a life made from hope instead of fear," she said. "And that is reason enough." The words settled into him, heavy and warm, like seeds dropped into newly turned soil. For the first time in years, the future did not appear as an empty stretch of land. It held a shape now, uncertain and dangerous, but alive. Jacob stared into the dancing flames and thought of the lonely mornings, the silent meals, the long nights with no voice but his own. Then he looked at Nantai again, and the choice no longer felt like one between two worlds. It felt like a choice between remaining empty or finally becoming whole. The moon hung low and silver, casting a pale glow over the quiet land. Jacob and Nantai stood a few steps apart, their figures painted in soft light and shadow, as if the night itself was unsure whether to separate them or draw them together. The world was silent, holding its breath. Even the wind had stilled. Jacob's heart beat so loudly he was certain she could hear it. He had never stood this close to another soul, and felt such a strange mix of fear, respect, and wonder. Years of solitude had built walls around him, layers of quiet that had kept him safe from disappointment. Now, with her standing there, those walls felt thin, brittle. "I have nothing great to give," he said at last, his voice almost breaking. "No name that matters, no family, no fortune. Just dirt beneath my nails and tired hands." Nantai stepped closer, her bare feet making no sound against the dry earth. "You have something greater than all of that," she replied. "You have a spirit that has not been poisoned by this world." He looked away, ashamed. "You speak of me as if I am some kind of chosen man." "I am not. I'm just someone who survived." Her hand gently came to rest on his arm. The touch sent a quiet shock through him. Warmth, life, connection. Her eyes held his. "Sometimes the one who survives is the one the world still needs." Jacob swallowed, feeling the weight of her words settle into him. He imagined a life growing here, in this open land. A small heartbeat, a blend of two worlds, two histories that had always stood on opposite sides of a line drawn in. Blood and fear. That thought terrified him. But it also filled him with a sense of purpose he had never known. "If a child comes from this," he said slowly, "I swear it will know both of its worlds. It will not grow up with hate in its heart. It will learn your people's strength and my people's work. It will respect the earth as you do and protect it as best it can." A faint, gentle smile touched Nantai's lips. "Then you understand what the spirits asked of you." Above them, the first low rumble of thunder echoed across the plains, far away but powerful, as if the sky itself had heard the promise. A light breeze returned, carrying the smell of rain and distant mountains. Jacob looked out over his land, his lonely, empty land, and for the first time he did not see isolation. He saw a beginning. He saw a future written not only in soil, but in hope. And standing beside him, he was no longer just a shy farmer.